To talk more about what can be done to address these economic disparities, we're joined by Fred Smith. He is an entrepreneur and host of the virtual town hall, Join the Convo. Welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us, Fred.
Thanks for having me.
You know, okay, the latest report in many ways confirms the obvious. The exact concerns that African-American business owners have been talking about for months. We just went through all the sobering information, the numbers. Now the hard part, what can be done, and really quickly?
Well, I think this report really just highlighted what you said, and it did a good job of taking even race out of the equation and just looking at the numbers. And what we see is there's some key reasons why the money from PPP did not reach the black-owned businesses, one of which is just lack of faith. Black-owned business owners were 3 times less likely to apply for PPP because they didn't think that they were going to get approved. And in some ways, the numbers bore that out. But also, they didn't have the banking relationships established that other white-owned businesses had at the time. So they were less likely to, especially in that first wave of PPP, have immediate access to that money. So when we're looking at things that need to be done, we really need to address, A, that trust, that faith that if you apply for the money, you can get it as a black-owned business owner. And then also establishing, you know, after we get through this pandemic, doing work to establish a relationship with banks so that they have fair access to credit, like white-owned business owners do.
You know, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I've been driving around the country doing stories on COVID-19. We went to Detroit, talked to a number of black-owned business operators, and they talked exactly about that. Less access to capital, little or no generational inheritance. The gaps really show up. And to get to the head of the line with the PPP, you have to have a relationship with a banker. And a lot of these businesses, very successful before COVID-19, these are people who worked very hard, saved their money, scrapped, put them together, but without the assistance of the bank. How do you forge that relationship? Because honestly, Fred, if you and I go into a bank and sit down and try to apply for a loan, we could have very different experiences.
That's right, and I've done it before. So I've owned a small business, and I've been in the seat trying to get money. And, you know, in many ways, there are programs already in existence for minority-owned businesses, but I think we can do better. I think it's education on both sides. I think banks need to reach out to black small business owners even before they ask for some funding, to educate them on what needs to be in the business plan. We need transparency so that if they do apply and they get rejected, they understand why. And then a bank can actually walk them through how to improve that business plan or maybe the fundamentals of the business so that the next time they apply, it can be successful. And then on the black business owner side, more education on a variety of ways to get access to funding. Think about it. There's $130 billion right now of PPP money that has not been doled out yet. And I think that's a big part of why this report came out, so that we can now pinpoint where that money needs to go. And if the decision is made that some of this money goes to the black-owned businesses, the black-owned business owners need to be aware of this and ready to accept it and have to educate themselves on how to make themselves successful in getting that money.
You know, Fred, also, many business owners are having to make brutal decisions right now, such as, do I stay open and risk contracting the virus to me and my family, or shut down, be healthy, but no business?
It's a tough decision, right? And all small businesses and some medium-sized businesses are making that decision. In the black community especially, 96% of black-owned businesses are sole proprietorships. So it's basically the only source of income, and is only one person working. And it's a big part of the black entrepreneurial workforce. So killing these businesses could really cause long-term economic damage to the black community. It's a tough decision to make. You know, everyone has to make their own decision. But I think one thing that's for sure, Congress and the president need to hurry up and come up with the next stage of money and support so that some of these businesses can see a lifeline and push out the decision of closing a little bit longer.
You know, Fred, this has been well chronicled. African Americans have been disproportionately adversely affected. The infection and mortality rates higher for African Americans. And you talked about U.S. President Donald Trump. Is there any reason to believe that this administration is going to come up with a solution for so many blacks in the United States in dire need?
You know, I would love to say yes. And, you know, this upcoming election may be an impetus for him to reach out to the black community, especially with the announcement of the VP on Biden's side. So Donald Trump may be looking for ways to reach out to the black community to get their support. which may be very hard, and this would be an amazing way to do that because it has ripple effects in the community. But we haven't seen many examples of that in the past, but I'm hoping maybe because of the election and maybe because of the dire straits that these communities are in, he may change his mind.
Well, great. Great, Fred, great stuff, Fred. We really appreciate you. Entrepreneur, host of the virtual town hall. Join the convo. Please, we want to have you back sometime soon.
Would love to be back. Thank you for having me.